Hi everyone, welcome back to another one of my videos. My name is Lindsay and this is my channel Lindsay Talks a Lot. Today I will be doing a wrap up for the month of February and then really quickly running through some of my TBR for March. My wrap up for February is going to be on the slimmer side just because I made a video earlier this month reading domestic thrillers and I don't really want to bore anyone who watched that video just saying like the exact same thing for the next 10 minutes that they already watched. So we'll just go ahead and start. I only have one physical copy of one of the books I read. The rest are just going to be pictures somewhere on here. So I'll go ahead and start with Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine Valentine. This is a short novel, about 100 pages, about a husband and wife that live in a suburban paradise until the wife Sophia starts to kind of look into the truth of her marriage, of her role in her relationship itself, and slowly these kind of like dark, spooky things begin to unravel. There are a lot of like illusions in this story, and the author gives you all these little pieces that you don't totally figure out how they fit together until the end. I did enjoy it. It wasn't totally what I expected when I initially read it, but I gave it 4 stars. It does feel like with this story, each word is intentional, like each word has a purpose, and her writing is very like poetic and luscious in nature, and I did really enjoy that. It's different from things I've read in the past. Next we have Apples Never Fall by Liane Moriarty. In this story, we focus on our main characters Stan and Joy. They've been married for a long time, all their kids are grown, and we kind of see the dynamic of their relationship within a year or so time frame of like them being empty nesters, as well as a stranger coming and knocking on their front door and changing their lives forever, essentially. And along with that, we also have Joy go missing in the story. So it's a story about trying to reveal dark secrets, to learn truths, to try to figure out what happened to Joy, as well as a story of family dynamics and relationships and kind of growing and learning from your mistakes and being able to trust again. This was also a 4-star for me. I initially read 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty, and that I did not like at all, but this has given me hope. So I am definitely going to be checking out any of her other works in the future. And moving on to the next. What happens when you find out your ex-best friend and your ex-boyfriend are getting married? Nothing good. That's the premise of our story in You're Invited by Amanda J. Tissa. This story follows our main character Amaya as she makes her way to Sri Lanka for this big extravagant wedding that she was invited to, and she tries to unravel what she may have missed in the last 5 years or so that she hasn't been friends with Kavi or spoken to her ex-boyfriend. And it's an entertaining read. It had a lot of potential, but I don't think it was executed well. I got through it pretty quickly, but it was just an okay book for me. I gave it 3 stars, but it wasn't my favorite out of the ones that I read for the vlog. Next we have Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This is about our couple Adam and Amelia as they go on a Scottish weekend getaway to try to save their marriage, but both of them have secrets to hide and they have alternative plans for the weekends. This one kept the suspense throughout the whole story. We also get some flashbacks into like Adam and Amelia's past, which I found really entertaining, and this kept me guessing up till the very end, and I really enjoyed it. This was my first Alice Feeney, and I'm going to be checking out all of her backlist from now. And then finally, we have Alice's Island by Daniel Sanchez Arevalo. This book was everything. This book follows our main character, Alice, as she, in the very beginning of the book, learns of her husband's untimely death on his way home from work. But the twist is here that he is miles and miles away from where he was supposed to be on his way home from work. So this is a story about Alice trying to uncover and learn any secrets that her husband was keeping from her, as well as learning to deal with her grief and learning to raise 2 kids by herself as a new mom. It's pretty crazy, like the lengths that she goes to try to uncover his secrets. But I just really found myself like really charmed by Alice, and I just really cared about her, and I cared about her family, and it was just so much more than I expected to be. It's a story about loss. It's a story about growth. It's a story about love. It just totally wrecked me. Like even now, just thinking about it, I still feel those emotions that it gave me when I finished it, like I just read it, even though I read it weeks ago. I just feel like I want to read it again. It was just so good to me. It just hit me like in all the right places. It made me cry. It was so good. I'm actually going to try. I rented it from the library, but I'm going to see if my Barnes & Noble has it because I definitely want to buy that. All right, so now I'm going to get into the 2 books that I haven't mentioned yet this month because I kind of picked them up on a whim. And the first one, it's just, I don't have the cover, but it's Luckiest Girl Alive by Jessica Knoll. I'm not going to hold it up because, I don't know, it's just a boring black book. This one focuses on our main character, Ani. Her name is actually Tiffany. I don't know if it's supposed to be pronounced Tiffany, but in the book, it's spelled with a capital T, I-F, and then a capital A, N-I. So I don't know if there's supposed to be more emphasis on the A. But anyway, she just goes by Ani. Ani is a grown adult woman. She is just trying to achieve all her goals in life. She has a successful career. She has a wealthy fiance. She's having this big extravagant wedding. And she's just working on achieving everything that she set out to be since she was younger. But those plans start to unravel as her past kind of comes back to haunt her, and she begins to question what she really wants in life and like what really is actually important to her as a person. There are some pretty strong triggers in this book, pretty crazy events that happen. So if you're sensitive to anything, I would just look them up because the blurb does not allude to them at all. The first one we find out pretty quickly in the book, and it's a little more subtle. So you can either like assume what happens, or you can, it's not so strong. But the second thing that happens, yikes, very intense. Those things that happen to Ani are very traumatic, and they're very shocking for anybody to have to go through, especially a teenage girl. I don't feel like Ani like really processed all the things that she went through, and I just don't think that she like handled, or like the adults in her life didn't allow her to handle things the way that she should have been able to. I also feel like the characters in this book were very flat and like surface level, and I mean, this book definitely had potential. I like the premise. I liked Ani as a character herself. Like I kind of liked her take no crap attitude and like the things that she was dealing with internally. But I just wasn't too crazy about the ending. I enjoyed like the flashbacks and the way the author wrote the things that happened in the past. But I just think the ending kind of wrapped up like too quickly, and I was just like, oh, okay, I guess that's fine. And like I said, just look up the trigger warnings if you're sensitive to anything, because that was crazy, but not too bad. I gave this 3 stars. The last thing I read this month was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was my second book from her. I also read 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I loved. I gave that one 5 stars. And this was almost a 5-star for me, but not quite there. So this one focuses on a fictional band from the 70s and their rise and fall from fame. It's kind of interview style, which is similar to how the Evelyn Hugo book was. I actually listened to it on audio. I requested it from my library back in October, and I just got my copy to borrow like a week ago, which is crazy. I actually had borrowed it so long ago I forgot, and I got a notification on my phone. I was like, oh, okay. But I'm glad I finally got it, and I got to take a listen to it. I really enjoyed the audiobook. They have a different voice actor for each character, and they all do a really good job. I don't know, I think I'm turning into a Taylor Jenkins Reid fangirl, because I just really love her style of writing. I love the way that she writes characters. I feel like you can form an emotional connection with all of them, whether that be a good or a bad thing. And I just think she's so good at like picking these little intimate moments and just making the way people express things and they feel things and process things just seems so real. And she does a good job of having a major cast of characters in her books, like the same with Taylor Jenkins. Oh my gosh, the same with Evelyn, the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. That was 7 men plus Evelyn plus all her friends. And in this book, we have 7 band members. We have their family members or like their friends, and like secondary characters that maybe only have like a few chapters or like a few paragraphs. But it just all feels so interconnected, and she just does that so well. At least for me, it works for me. The only thing though, towards the end of the book, I wasn't expecting it, so when I listened to that part of the book, I was like, oh, wow, I was surprised. She got me. But I just didn't, the thing that she included in the end, she did a similar thing in 7 Husbands, and I don't think it was really necessary in this book. She did write the Evelyn Hugo book first, so I don't know if she just used that idea to connect it to this one. But I just didn't really think it was necessary. It didn't add a whole lot extra to the story. I don't know, it just felt like it was more for like shock value. But all in all, it was really good, but that little aspect bumped it from a 5 to a 4.5 for me. But I would definitely recommend the audio, especially if you're new to audio or you want to give something to try. It's a really fun one to listen to. So those are all the books I read in February. If you have not checked out my domestic thriller vlog, please give it a go. It's my first one. I look forward to trying to do many more after that. As far as March goes, my birthday's in March, so I'm probably going to do like a little March birthday book haul. I usually buy all of my books secondary if I haven't read them before. I'm going to try to go to Barnes & Noble and see if there are any that I really enjoyed that I want to have to keep in my little library collection. But otherwise, I'm just going to run through really quick. I have a little stack here of all the books that I want to try to get through this month. We'll see. First and foremost, Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. My coworker let me borrow this. I heard it was And Then There Were None retelling. I'm super pumped. This cover is also really beautiful. Got another Harlan Coben. He's my guy. I've read 2 from him so far that I've really enjoyed, so I want to give him another try. I got this from a like partially secondhand, partially like discounted bookstore, just to try it out because I hadn't been there before. I probably won't go back. Wasn't crazy about the vibes, but somebody actually drove their car into the store, which is just wild. It's like in a shopping center, like way back off the road. Nobody got hurt. They did have to plywood a big portion of like the front of the store, but that's just so crazy. Who does that? But anyway, this book is about a guy. I don't think he's not in like the crime world or anything, but I guess he made a promise to an old girlfriend that he would stay out of her life. She gets remarried, the whole shebang, and he finds out that her husband has just passed away. So when he goes to kind of look into things, his ex-girlfriend that was married to this guy is not her at all. So he's trying to figure out where she went, why she disappeared, and who is this girl pretending to be her. So that premise seems pretty interesting. I don't really like the size of this book though, so that might annoy me, but yep, gonna try him again. Next, I have a book that my mom gave me to borrow, The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. It has something to do with a girl going back to her family home after many years and like kind of looking into things, and there's some secrets in the house. So she really liked it, and the premise seems interesting, so I'm going to give it a try. That way I can give it back to her. Next is Shadow of Your Smile by Mary Higgins Clark. I don't know if there was ever like a nice cover to this, but I don't have it. This has been on my shelf for a million years. I've had this book forever. I don't have no idea what it's about, but I figured I'd give it a try. If I like it, I'll keep it. If I don't, I'm going to donate it. Next, we have Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. I think I could become a Sally Rooney girly. I've already read Normal People by her. I also watched the series on Hulu, which I really enjoyed, but I probably wouldn't recommend watching it unless you've read the book, because I feel like you wouldn't understand like the small intimacies that happen in the series if you didn't have like the backstory in the book in your mind. But a lot of people, she causes a lot of strife in the book community. People either love her or hate her. Her style of writing is different, but I just kind of like that angsty, not the best communicators, will they, won't they, you know, what is the point of life, being young, and just questioning everything kind of backstory. I think this book revolves around two couples. I don't really know a whole lot more. I'm not really trying to know a whole lot more. I just want to read it, see if I'll enjoy it, and I'll let you guys know. I already actually read this book this year, Graceling by Kristen Cashore, but the Bitter Blue, the second book, is in my other room and I don't feel like getting it. I'll just put a picture of it up here. But it's a trilogy I read in high school, a YA fantasy trilogy that I really loved. And so I just reread the first book just to see if it's something I wanted to keep or not. And I did like it, but I have the other two books, so I figured I might as well read them all. I didn't realize it wasn't a continuing, though, of the same characters. Like, the first book focuses on Katza, and then the second book focuses on another character, Bitter Blue, that we meet in the first book, which I don't remember happening, but that's okay. So I'm gonna read it, and then I'll let you guys know if I like it. And then finally, I have The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I have not read anything by her. This was actually her first novel. It's about a young black girl in the 1940s who wants to have blue eyes like her her white counterparts that have blue eyes, blonde hair. They're treated a lot better. She lives in America, and just kind of the turmoil she goes through in her life, just from what I've been reading with like summaries of what may happen. I haven't dug too much into it, but it's supposed to be like very well written. It speaks on race and gender and inequality. I really want to get more stuff like this in my reading circle. I'd like to read authors of different race, different ethnicity, and just expand my absorption of the books that I read. So it's not too long, but I think it's very touching. A lot goes on in there. So I want to give this a try also. So it's a pretty decent stack I have set for myself, but March is a long month, 31 days. So I'm hoping that I can set aside the time and read. Let me know what books you want to read in March, and if you read any of the books that I mentioned previously, and if you have any video recommendations for me. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope you have a wonderful day.